Rev up your engines!
Well, the French have taken driving to an extreme. There is a new French law that requires car commercials in France to tell people to walk or bike instead of driving a car. Not only do they warn you about cigarettes or alcohol, cars have to now give, in their advertisements, the negative effects of driving a car. And they have a choice of one of three things in France. Either they have to say, for short journeys, walk or cycle, as well as think about carpooling, or take public transport daily. Is this going to be like it was in the United States in the 50s when they snuck in the movie theaters in between frames of a movie? Things would flash, eat popcorn, and then all of a sudden, it's subliminal. People started eating more popcorn, and then they found out and they said it was illegal, Maybe they'll start hiding them in there. Ride a bicycle. Don't drive your car. Ride a bicycle. All of a sudden, gee, I think I shall ride my bicycle. Now, hilariously enough, in the advertising, it has to be included in everything. Print, online, broadcast, radio, or TV. If you're online, they have to have a hashtag that says hashtag move without pollution. Private cars make up 15% of the country's greenhouse gas. Okay, 15%. What about the other 85%? They're always trying to get the little guy with this stuff. It's too much. Now, France has already pledged they're going to get rid of gas and diesel-powered sales of new cars by 2040. Well, that's a long time from now. And that's just the sale of them. New ones, right? They're still going to be around. People are going to be driving them. What are they going to have people running around pointing their fingers, shaming them if you're driving a car down the road? I find this amusing because here we have France, one of the nations that does more smoking of cigarettes than any other one. And they're trying to shame people into biking or walking or taking public transportation instead of driving their cars. Well, Chrysler's previewing what they say is going to be their all-electric lineup of cars with their airflow concept SUV. Now, they're not making them yet. It's a concept. And Stellantis, that owns them, says by 2028, in 6 years, they're going to have nothing but electric cars at Chrysler. You got to take everything with a grain of salt because numero uno, people were even talking about dumping Chrysler completely, just getting rid of Chrysler because they made such crappy vehicles. They got such a bad reputation. They're thinking about dumping it already, Dodge Ram pickup trucks are just called Ram. They're their own division now, Ram, right? They're not Chrysler theoretically anymore. They really want to get rid of the name. So replacing with electric cars wouldn't be that big of a stretch because they don't sell that many cars anyway. I find it hilarious, though, that they're putting a classic Chrysler name from the past for it, the Airflow, because that's a name they used ages ago. And I'm thinking that in 6 years, they're going to be all electric cars. Just falling in with the winds of politics, which way it blows. Now it's blowing to the left, so they're going to be all electric. But then, who knows, after the next election, they'll probably go to the other way, and then I'll say, well, not so fast. Maybe we don't have enough electricity to power these things or enough lithium to make the batteries. They don't have much of a range, and then you spend all this money, you're stuck with a vehicle that doesn't go that far. Now, of course, like everyone else, they're touting this level 3 autonomous where they can drive themselves, but you got to be ready to take the wheel. It's all this future, just like when I was a kid, we're going to be driving flying cars, which we still aren't 60 years later. And they're talking about their traffic jam pilot that will drive you through traffic jams. But as it stands, the traffic jam pilot is dormant in almost every country in the world. Nobody's allowing anybody to use it. It's got a long wheelbase, 22-inch tires. It's going to be low to the ground. If you're even remotely interested in getting an electric car, road test them before you even think about buying anything. They're making these things real low to the ground. Many of them, especially the Teslas, they ride like crap on bumpy roads because they're so low to the ground, you feel every bump. And the money that you'd spend for a car like that rides that poor on bumpy roads. I've road tested different ones, and I am not an Audi fan by any stretch of the imagination. The Audi electric car, Volkswagen owns them. They have very good engineers, and theirs actually ride quite well. It is a luxury ride car. It was basically a luxury car that they made into an electric car. Something like old Elon building an electric car, but then it rides like crap because it's heavy and real low to the ground and it bumps around and the suspension system isn't that well designed because he's not a car guy. Like I said, I'm not an Audi fan. The things generally fall apart, cost a fortune, but they do ride really well. They got that down pat, and they got that down pat in their electric cars, where a lot of these other electric car companies don't have it at all. And believe me, you can spend that kind of money on a car. Road test one before you put your money down because you might say, man, this thing rides like crap. I spent all this money and it doesn't even ride good. And I can see this thing just by looking at it, how low it is and stuff, and the weight it's going to weigh. have the range that they say it's going to have with these big heavy batteries. They don't ride very well. Most people spending that kind of money, they're not going to be happy with a ride like that. So they say they're going electric into the future, but hey, what future? Who knows? Maybe there won't even be Chrysler. They might just dump the name. Stellantis bought a bunch of companies, and a bunch of them are failing companies. Fiat and all the crazy Italian companies like Lancia and stuff, they keep saying they're going to bring the name back and la la la. These are failed companies that have been failing for decades. I say just let them fail. Why just keep a name and something that didn't really work out? These purists, oh, we like the old name. I think it's stupid. Well, here's a horror story. The guy's engine that they supposedly fixed under warranty, but then it broke again and they're not going to do anything about it. The man's name is Donovan, and here's what he sent me. I have a 2017 Hyundai Elantra 2.4 4-cylinder. Bought it used with 40,000 miles. The engine was replaced due to a failed bearing with what I was told would be a new engine, but instead it was replaced with a remanufactured, salvaged, and fixed on 3/8/20. Within 6 days, the engine overheated and seized on the highway. Later, it overheated again after they supposedly fixed it. A month later, I was driving down the highway, the engine overheated. When I got home, there was gunk everywhere. They said it was a blown gasket, and they're not going to cover it because they already fixed it. They're quoting me $10,500 to put another engine in. And the warranty company said they don't cover the claim because they don't cover for rust or corrosion damage. Hyundai said it isn't their problem because the warranty runs out in March. I don't want to put 10 grand in a car. What should I do? I feel they're responsible because I trusted them to give me a new engine and they didn't. That's the problem, especially with Hyundai, but with any kind of, in quotes, warranty work, they want to fix them as cheap as they can. I see so many times people with Hyundais and the Subarus when they had to replace valve springs. Supposedly they fixed them at the dealership. The guys did shoddy work and they weren't fixed. But then they said, well, we fixed the engine correctly. Something else went wrong. And in this case, they say, well, it's corroded, so the warranty won't fix it. Well, wait a second. Why is it corroded? These clowns supposedly fixed the engine, right? If they fixed the engine and rebuilt it, they had to put new coolant in it, so the coolant shouldn't have been corroded. It just shows the horrendous work that they do at these places. A used, rebuilt engine, whatever that means, and then it overheated a month or two later, and then it did again, and now they say he's got to pay for an engine? That just shows you the warranty work that they do at Hyundai and Kia is absolute garbage. You don't get a new engine, you get a used one, or a, in quotes, rebuilt. Who knows if it was rebuilt right or not? It's ridiculous what they get away with when they actually have to fix something. They had to, by law, they made them recall them, and you got to fix these engines. They don't fix them right. Look at this guy. They gave him an engine. Then it broke twice more, and they said they fixed it, but then it finally overheated on the highway and wouldn't run at all. Now they tell him he needs to spend 10.5 grand for another engine. It's just ridiculous, the fast ones that these Hyundai dealers try to pull on people. Like I always say, don't buy one, and you won't have to deal with this crap. Stay away from companies like that. They think they're smart. Oh, well, we fixed it once. We don't have to fix it again. Nothing we have to do about it. Yeah, well, guys like me and guys like Donovan, they're telling the world on the internet. They dealt with me like I'm some kind of criminal and I'm stupid. Oh, now you need $10,500 for the engine that they supposedly had fixed. It's unbelievable, the nonsense that these companies try to pull. That's why you find companies like this, just forget it. Don't buy their products. Don't buy them. You're not going to get stuck in a problem like this guy was. But thanks, Donovan, for sharing. Everybody needs to know these horror stories to see what you might get involved in. If you buy one of their cars and they're shady dealers, unbelievable. Joe Potts says, Scotty, what's your opinion on filling sealed ball joints with the grease needle using a manual grease gun? Don't do it. You got to stick the needle in the boot. You're ripping a hole in it. Water can intrude and stuff. No, you don't want to do that. They're sealed for a reason, the way they're made. If they finally do wear out, by all means, buy a replacement ball joint that has the grease fitting in it. Most companies make replacement ones. Aftermarket companies make popular cars replacement ball joints that have a grease fitting, so then you can grease it. It's a very good idea, as long as you remember to grease it. But you don't want to break the seal and squirt in the grease. Here's the thing you have to understand about grease. There are various types of greases out there. Some of them are incompatible with other types of grease. You start randomly sticking grease in, it might not be the same grease as the grease that it was made with the sealed unit. It could actually make it go worse and ruin it and wear it out faster. So no, leave the original ones alone. But if they wear out, sure, go right out and buy a ball joint that's got a grease fitting. You can install it with the grease fitting and then grease it. Smart guys will do stuff like that. But don't attempt to grease it with the needle. That's, no, you might get the wrong grease. It's going to make a hole. It's going to degrade it even faster. That's not a smart thing to do. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.